stepmom had the bright idea to try to kick me out from my house after my father passed away because in her mind, if she kicks me out, there's a more likelihood she's going to get every bit of the inheritance money. Joke's on her. I know exactly where that money's going, and it's not going to her.
Hello everyone, I'm Tyler. I'm here to share my story with you. It's not like I don't have anyone to talk to, but after losing the only remaining important person in your life, you stop connecting with the people the way you used to when they were here. I'm talking about my dad. I recently lost him to a heart attack. The reason I called him the only remaining important person in my life was because my mother died when I was a teenager. 14 or 15 perhaps. Yeah, it was hard for us, but I think Dad struggled more. He loved her, and I saw him lose will to live after she was gone. He started working all the time and drinking too much. Sometimes he would not come home at night, and I'd worry. The only thing that kept him going was his one goal, you see. I lost my mom to cancer, so my father wanted to fight cancer so that no one would ever have to lose someone close to them because of it. He said that he would give away everything that he had. Oh yeah. Did I mention that he's rich? He knew that the way he was living, he would not live for long, and I guess it was something he was just okay with. One day, he called me and told me that he was planning to give all his wealth away to a cancer research program as a charity once he turned 60. Well, by this time, I had already set up my business, and thanks to the wisdom I got from Father, it was quite successful. So I naturally said, all right, sure. He wrote everything down to his will and gave it to his friend, a lawyer, to keep safe until he turned 60. He kept only a small amount of money aside. He would need to live for the rest of it, and it all just went to charity what he didn't keep. Everything was going fine in our lives. It was just me. It was just my dad and my mother's memories, and we were peacefully living, that if not happily. Until one day, a mysterious woman in her early 40s, Kayla, came and claimed to be pregnant with my father's child. There was no way I would have believed her. However, both Dad and I knew that right after Mom died, he went through a really dark period, where he would pass out and would not come for days because of how drunk he was. Well, neither of us could be sure of whether or not he could do something like this in such a condition. On top of that, this woman threatened, to harm herself if he did not marry her right away. My dad, confused, agreed to marry her, not knowing what else to do, and they did not even have an elaborate marriage function as my father did not want it, and Kayla seemed to be fine with it too. So a lawyer came to our house and they signed some documents and got their marriage certificate. Within a few days, this woman moved in, and she was not alone either. Turned out she already has 2 daughters, whose father's identity is unknown to them. My new stepmom and her twin daughters, Tina and Nina, quickly took control of her home, and she wasted no time in taking over. She started making all the decisions, changing around, and acting like she owned the place. It was all so fast and confusing, and at first I tried to trust them. After all, they were now part of our family. But something just didn't feel right. My stepmom seemed nice, but there was something about her that made me uneasy. She would make changes without asking anyone else, and it felt like she was trying to erase my mom's memory. Soon enough, things changed so much that I started feeling like a stranger in my own home. Dad didn't say anything to her. I think it's because she was pregnant and maybe partially because he felt guilty for what he did. I didn't say anything to him either, as I didn't want him to worry. And I thought Kayla knew about my dad's plan to donate his money to charity when he turned 60. So I tried to trust her, as there seemed to be no reasoning for me to doubt her. Well, time went by and passed, and I kept myself mostly busy with my work to give my father and stepmother some time to build their relationship. But soon Dad fell ill. His health declined rapidly, and before we knew it, he was gone. It was sudden. He had one day cardiac arrest, and the next morning he was no more. It was the darkest period of my life. And trust me when I say this, my supposed new family did not make it easier. My stepmother and stepsister, who once seemed kind, suddenly became mean and started bossing me around. It was weird. Here I was grieving the loss of my father, trying to hold everything together, and yet they treated me with disrespect. Despite being the one taking care of everything, they made me feel like I was in their way, like I didn't belong. As the days passed, their mistreatment only got worse. They made unreasonable demands, expecting me to cater to their every whim. It was exhausting, both physically and emotionally. But I kept going, fueled by the memory of my dad's kindness and generosity. And then came the day everything became crystal clear. One day, I had gone out to bring something one of my stepsisters wanted, so I wasn't supposed to be home for an hour or so. However, I had forgotten something, so I came back a bit early. That's when I heard my stepmother talking on the phone with someone. She was discussing how she needed me out of the picture before my dad's 60th birthday. That was it. Everything suddenly became very clear, and boy did it feel like a punch to the gut. I had been right all along. There was something wrong with her. Turns out that they were only interested in my dad's money, and that they never truly cared about him or his wishes. But what stuck with me the most was the realization that my stepmom did not know about my dad's plan to donate his inheritance to charity. She thought that they would get everything, and they were willing to do whatever it took to make it happen. It was at that moment I decided that I was not going to go easy on her. This woman clearly tried and almost successfully took over the house. She tricked my father into guilt-tripping her and forced him into marriage. And now she's the nerve of her to plan to kick me out of the picture so that she can have all of my dad's money to herself. One thing was clear, that they weren't going to get anything because of my father's will. However, I'm determined to make her feel sorry for everything, thinking about using me and my dad. So, I played it cool. I played along with their schemes, pretending to be oblivious to their true intentions, all while quietly plotting a revenge. True, I had to endure a lot. As the days went by, her behavior became increasingly hostile. She would boss me around, demanding I cater to her every whim, while her daughters followed suit, joining in on the verbal assaults and petty insult. I remember one particular incident. It was quite late into the evening. I'd just gotten home from work, and she started shrieking at me, calling me careless and whatnot. According to her, I intentionally spent extra time outside the house and the guise of work to save myself from taking care of my own stepmother. She reminded me how she was pregnant with my father's child, and I should do better than to neglect her needs. She then demanded me to rub her feet as they were hurting her and her dogs were aching. It was my duty to make sure that she was comfortable at all times. This woman, I'm not even sure if this child is dad's. If she can lie about one thing, why not the other? How could we have not even thought of getting it confirmed before? No matter, I'm sure one of these days I'll get her. The final straw, it came when they staged a fake SA case against me. Yep. Can you believe that? It was her way to force me out of the house. She threatened me to leave the house and never contact them or come back or ask them anything in regards to my father. This was cruel. However, aware of their intentions and the truth, I simply packed my bags and I left. They didn't even realize how big of a mistake that they've made, as I was the sole breadwinner of the house at the moment. I'm sure she must have felt like she got the house and all the riches of my father. She had no idea of the surprise that she was in for. Finally, the day came. My father's 60th birthday, and I'm sorry that he could not live to celebrate the day. However, the way things were, it was good in a way that he wasn't. The will, it came out. And as expected, my stepmother lost her mind, and so did her twin daughters. All their schemes, all their conniving, gone to waste. And the house that they threw me out of, they were thrown out of too, as the house had been promised to charity. I was intentionally present when they were being thrown out, just hidden so they could not even bother me. And let me tell you, it felt damn good, watching them get exactly what they deserved. Some of you may feel like I was too harsh, and maybe I was. However, this woman took advantage of my father at his darkest hour. To me, this is more than enough reason to send her to hell. What do you guys think? Did I do the right thing? Do let me know. I do think that she won't be taking this whole betrayal thing quietly and would probably want to badger me about it. I'm not looking forward to that part. I just want them to leave me alone now, but right now it all seems like wishful thinking. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here, so we do have a couple comments to discuss before we hop into the first update, but I just want to remind you, if you're not subscribed to the channel, you might want to hit that button for daily animated drama stories, and it does help support the channel a lot by clicking that button, guys. Here's your first comment from Jenny1212. Wow. I'm really impressed by how well you handled the situation. It was tough. I could never. It must have been so hard losing both parents and then having to deal with a manipulative stepmother and her daughters. This woman's lying about the baby being your father's too. Do not trust a word that she says. She and her daughters seem like the type to only care and go after money. I think you did the right thing by staying strong and making sure that they're kicked out of the house and left with nothing. They deserve it. Keep being strong and standing up for yourself. Karen, 43212, says, honestly, I'm really disappointed by how you handled things, OP. Resorting to revenge and manipulation off the rip? It's low. Instead of focusing on forgiveness and moving on, you chose to stoop to their level, and don't even get me started on your attitude towards your stepmother and her daughters. Sure, they may not have been the nicest, but wishing ill upon them and reveling in their downfall? Yeah, I call that spiteful. Considering she's pregnant and it is your father's child, whether you like it or not, maybe if your father had chosen to hold his horses a bit, things would have not ended so messy. Or if only you could have shown a bit of compassion towards them. But hey, I guess some people are just naturally vindictive. Update number 1. Hey guys, I'm back again. I know it's been a month since I first posted and I have a lot to share. But first of all, thank you to those who interacted with my story and left some comments behind. Some of you were really supportive in the comment section, and some of you thought that I was really vindictive. I mean, well, let me tell you. When somebody threatens your home, your family, and everything you love and worked for, it's hard not to feel angry and want to fight back. My stepmother and her daughters weren't just rude or unpleasant. She downright tried to take advantage of my dad. There's no way I would forgive her, neither does she deserve it. If you disagree, read on. It turns out that I had to endure a lot more of her as I expected. After she was thrown out of the house, I thought this was enough punishment for her for trying to trick me and my father, and I decided to leave her alone. I mean, why bother stretching the issue? Turns out I was far from wrong, and even if I left her alone, it didn't mean that she would leave me alone. She was quite adamant about throwing herself and her daughters on me as if they were my responsibilities. I don't get how she even had the audacity to show up to my house after clearly asking me to never contact or bother them again, along with the same daughters who fabricated the whole SA act against me. Anyways, this is how it went down. After 2 days, she was thrown out of my father's house and she showed up at my home. First of all, I don't know how she found out where I was living at the address. I've never told anyone about this place except my father and girlfriend who I'm living here with. So they came with all their luggage and demanded I let her stay there and take care of her. Like hell. I clearly refused, and she started screaming at me and called me careless, unfaithful, and how my father would be so disappointed in me if she ever learned that I left the mother of his child to fend for herself. However, after her shouting herself hoarse, I clearly refused. This was when she lost it and started attacking me physically. Luckily, my girlfriend was recording everything and she threatened them, and at that she left. Though I was determined to not let her in my life. I had my doubts. I mean, was it really okay for me to leave a pregnant woman like this? Will my father really be disappointed in me? However, this feeling was short-lived, and soon after, Kayla visited me again. First of all, I need to know where she's getting all her information from, because she apparently came to know about the money my dad had kept aside for himself in case he lived past 60. So, as you all can imagine, she came and demanded it. Her words were something like that. This was his child, and if there's anything left in his name, it should be directly given to the baby. Hello, I'm my father's child too. If anything is left in his name, shouldn't it be divided? I mean, not that I want it. Anyways, I clearly said no to her. I told her that I had not received the sum yet, and even if I did, I won't give her a penny of it. She started screaming at me again, but left sooner than I expected this time. I thought maybe she might have given up, but oh, how wrong I was. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone going off. I'd never had so many social media notifications. This woman had gone online and hosted her video of fake crying, trying to defame both me and my father, gaining sympathy. As I was tagged in the video, many people from my circle saw it too. None of them believed her. However, people like to gossip, and I absolutely hated people using my father's name in their pastime gossip. I knew something had to be done. I was sure I was going to make sure that she's taught a lesson. I just don't know how. So that's why I'm left pondering on this. Let's see if I come up with anything. I will update you guys soon, but bye for now. Update number 2. Hello again, it's been 2 weeks since I last posted, and remember how my stepmother went online and posted a video to gain fake sympathy, which caused a lot of drama and both me and my father were defamed. Yeah, she stretched a bit too much, and I couldn't just let her get away with it. So I hired a private investigator and paid him to do some digging. Trust me when I say this, I was not prepared for what I learned. So get this, Kayla was a bartender in one of the bars my dad frequently went to after my mother had died. One day she had heard him drunk talking to someone on a call about his wealth and, well, on call. How did I get to know this, you're wondering? Turns out my father was so drunk and loud the whole bar heard it. The other workers there were quick to share the news with anybody who would listen. In this instance, it was my investigator. The only catch is that she only learned half about the will. You know, that he will release his will on his 60th birthday, as he may not live longer than that. Kayla must have thought of this as her chance to get rich quick. No wonder she married my dad in such urgency, but that was not all, guys. Oh no. The biggest lie was that she wasn't pregnant with my father's child. In fact, she was not pregnant at all. I couldn't believe it. Funny, the kind of information you get to learn easily when you're ready to spend a certain amount of money. As soon as I offered a huge amount of money to Kayla's doctor, not only did she tell me everything, but she also offered me a copy of her reports. Honestly, I had my doubts that she may be lying about the father of the child, but lying about being pregnant altogether was huge. Did she think that she could pretend to be pregnant forever? How was she planning on justifying herself when, after 9 months, she would have been with, well, no baby? Now that I think about it, I never knew of her visiting any doctors for a checkup or taking any measures regarding the baby. We only took her word for it. I mean, how stupid had I been? Anyways, I can't say I wasn't relieved. I would have hated my father's child to be left in her care, and at least now I know the truth, and I gathered all the evidence I could, and did I mention that Kayla wasn't even her real name? Yes, it was Irene, and her 2 daughters were not her real daughters. They were her younger sisters, and I just wondered if we knew this woman at all. However, all these lies just made it easier for me to clear my father's name and cut all ties with my father there ever were. I knew just what I had to do. I decided to play her game. With the help of my girlfriend, I shot a video that if she could do a DNA test and prove that the child was really my father's, not only would I give her the money my father left behind, but I'll also bear all the expenses of her and the baby till the baby turns 18. I even offered to pay for the DNA test, and all she had to do was the test and prove that the baby was my father's. Well, this caused an absolute uproar among all those interested in the gossip, and were regularly following the case. Of course, I know there could be no DNA test since there's no baby, but this was my way of giving her one much chance to grow up and own up to what she has done and apologize before I did something worse. I hope I won't have to do it. I would hate to ruin her life. This was not how my father raised me, but if I had to clear his name, I absolutely will. Let's just see what she does next. Update number 3. Hello everyone, it's been only 3 days since I last posted. However, they feel like an eternity, I kid you not. A lot's happened and I'm here to share it all. So, you remember how last I posted a video of me offering Kayla money? Well, technically, to take care of all her expenses and the baby's till the baby turns 18, given she gets the DNA test done and proves that the baby is my father's. Well, she made quite a lot of excuses and drama online. She went ahead and said that she did not need to prove anything to anyone. She knew the truth and that my father knew it, and he knew what he had done, and this was all his fault. She ranted about how she was stuck with a baby that she didn't want in the first place. However, my father insisted on keeping it, and, well, now he has left her all alone to fend for herself. She then accused me of being selfish, and that just for a little money, I was defaming both her and the father's last memory, his child. She said that I wanted to hoard all the money for myself and that I'm just a little greedy witch who said not taking care of his stepmother and is now making her fight for the money that rightfully belongs to her in such a critical condition. All in all, you get the idea that she was ready to go to any length to not go through the DNA test, even after a lot of people online asked her to just go through the DNA test and prove me wrong. She would not budge. I mean, how could she? After a while, when it became clear that she would not confess her wrongdoings, I knew it was time. So I posted all her information, including her true identity and pregnancy test report that her doctor offered me earlier, which clearly stated she was not pregnant, online with the post explaining all of her doings. This wasn't just it. I filed a case for the fake allegation and scamming against my stepmom and made sure that somebody recorded the scene where she was being arrested by the police, which, by the way, I posted under the previous thread as soon as I received it. Let's just say that a few people who took her side, they changed sides very, very quickly. You know, she was sentenced to go to jail for a year and had to pay a hefty amount of fines. She also got canceled online, is what the kids call it. Her daughters or sisters, whatever they are, were nowhere to be found. And when the police came to arrest her, I have no idea where they may have gone into hiding, nor do I care. They might be leading a helpless, miserable life somewhere without my or my father's money to leech off of. I guess their mother or sister, whoever she is, led them here, and they would have to bear it now. My father's name was finally cleared, and that was all that I wanted. All those who spoke ill of him personally apologized to me and remembered how kind he was. People's opinions really change like the weather, and it's finally quiet and peaceful in my life after a long time. And I really hope it remains so. I've had enough drama to last me a lifetime. Update number 4. Hey guys, it's been a year since I last shared my story with you guys. You guys were really my biggest supporters during the toughest battle of my life. And for that, I thank you to each and every one of you who took the time to engage with me. I know. I said that the previous update I posted would be my last update, and technically it was. However, I have a couple of things I would like to share with you guys, so this one will be kind of short. Kayla recently got out of jail. Naturally, she's with no money and no place to stay at all, due to her online reputation and criminal record, of course. She's having difficulty finding a job. The last I knew, she was working in a small motel as a cleaner and just living in one of those stores or spare rooms there. Her daughters/sisters are still nowhere to be found, and I heard a rumor that they found themselves decently with a wealthy man and went away with them, leaving Kayla or Irene all alone. I, on the other hand, have been working on my business. I recently acquired my father's business, meaning that I'll be handling or taking care of it, and all the profits from it will be donated to the cancer research program. My dad worked really hard to build that company, and it's like his legacy, and I would very much like to carry it on forward. I was also recently able to collect the remaining sum my father left behind as the money he was supposed to live with. I donated all that and more to heart disease research so that no one has to lose their loved ones to heart disease like me. I think this was one of the things I took from my dad, and I hope to pass it forward to my child someday. This reminds me of the last announcement I have to make. I recently got engaged to my girlfriend, and I'm getting married next month. She was with me in my toughest times and had always been my support, and I'm just lucky to have her by my side. Well, this is it, guys. Thank you once again for all your kindness and support.